What's going on, Colts Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Bring the Juice. Guys, this might be the wildest week, maybe in Indianapolis Colts history. And today really just capped that all off with the Colts, who last week got blown out against the New England Patriots in Foxborough. This week, they hire a new coach in Jeff Saturday, who's been getting pummeled by the media all week long, and the Colts win their first game in the new debut for the Jeff Saturday, the new head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. Cody, I mean, it wasn't pretty. It wasn't anything crazy, but at the end of the day, the Colts, they won, and that's all that matters. And I think it's safe to say that this might be the most complete performance by this Colts team all year long.
Well, and I want to obviously start by saying the Raiders are a bad football team.
Yes, they are. They very much are.
Because I know there's going to be somebody that's like, okay, guys, but like they play the Eagles next week and stuff like that, which I totally understand that. But yeah, I mean, I just want to say, like, just from a motivation standpoint, this team actually looked like it wanted to be there and actually looked like it wanted to win. Like, that's the most emotion I've seen on that Colts sideline all year. Like, this team was dead in the water, a week ago. Like, nobody wanted to be there. Obviously, players wanted out. We know Hines got out, before that week. Like, it just wasn't good. And I'm not saying that Jeff Saturday all of a sudden is going to take this team, to an undefeated record and back to the playoffs. I don't know how this is going to go for this regime with Jeff Saturday at the helm. But I will say this team looked more exciting today. It was more fun to watch this team. Win or lose, this team looked more fun today. It looked like they actually were trying. They wanted to be there. And Derek, this is reminiscent in certain ways of the Colts of a couple of years ago, of being able to run the football, being able to pass protect. Being able to just do things, being able to, get off on crucial downs on defense, things like that, things that the Colts have wanted to do this year, but they just haven't been able to do this year, for the multitude of reasons that we've already talked about to death. So saying that, knowing how bad the Raiders are, I mean, this Colts team for the first time, Derek, they wanted to win this game. This is probably only the second performance I can confidently say this season the Colts wanted to win.
Yeah.
And it was very clear, and it's become very clear that this team certainly still has flaws. I mean, we saw it all over, like it almost cost this team multiple times this game. But I will say, for all the flaws that they had, Jeff Saturday got these guys ready to play. And that is something that Frank Reich did not do at all this entire year. I mean, Derek, this was the first time since Christmas of last year, I believe, that Arizona game, that the Colts have had a lead at halftime.
Yeah.
Which is just absolutely insane when you really think about that. But Jeff Saturday, to his credit, he talked about it. It wasn't perfect. Of course not. Yeah. This team still shot themselves in the foot a lot. Yeah. They still have those tendencies. But I will say this team actually looked motivated, and it was very clear to me that a new, fresh voice was so overdue for this team. Like, you just see like, wow, guys are actually playing like this offensive line. We talked about how terrible it's been all year.
This is the best they looked all year.
They allow one sack, and that's not even their fault, Like, they have been constantly, and they're playing against, I know the Raiders aren't really good at pass rush, but Max Crosby's no scrub at all.
And Chandler Jones is no scrub either.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, they did a really good job of not just pass protecting for Matt Ryan, who, by the way, who would have thought that, coming back and not even giving Sam a chance to play. Matt Ryan's in there, and, I know he had some mistakes, but he looked solid. He looked pretty good.
Yeah.
All things considered. And who knew Matt Ryan had wheels, man? My goodness.
As we're watching this, I'm literally on Twitter rewatching that play over and over. And I can't get over the fact that Matt Ryan almost outran the corner at the end there. I can't believe he almost did that. It was phenomenal, dude. Phenomenal.
Yeah. And like the fact that the offensive line also opened up holes for Jonathan Taylor. When he had that huge run, that massive touchdown run, I mean, that is a hole that I have not seen this Colts offensive line make
all year
since all year. I mean, since
literally,
last
that's
year.
the longest run, Cody, that he has had since the New England game when he won them the game by that big run. That was the last time that Jonathan Taylor ran for a rush of that magnitude. So
yeah. And they fed him the ball today. 22 carries, 147 yards, almost 7 yards a carry. Talked about that 68-yard scamper he had for the touchdown. I mean, the Colts just offensively look so much better today than they have all year. They really did. I mean, they were able to protect Matt Ryan, were able to run the football, and able to spread the ball around pretty good. I mean, you look at all these receivers that they had involved today. I mean, they had their top two receivers right now in Paris Campbell and Michael Pittman each had 9 targets. Kylan Granson had 4 targets, which he caught all of them, and he was very important today.
Mm-hmm.
So the Colts were able to spread the ball around between these 3 guys, and it actually seemed like the Colts weren't outsmarting themselves when it came to play calling, Derek.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't outsmart that goal line situation. Just quarterback sneak it. It's a very high percentage play.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do that. And they just like did the things that they were supposed to do today. And that's just something they hadn't done, I mean, all year. And that was the issue we had with Frank Reich in so many ways, was like, you're making it so much more difficult on yourself, man. Like, you have chances to go in and score and set the tone, and you just didn't do it. And it felt like this team, while they had mistakes, they definitely had a couple turnovers that were not good. Matt Ryan obviously took that sack on a 3rd and short. He had Kylan Granson wide open. Like, they still had some dumb mistakes offensively, but like, at the end of the day, when you put over 400 yards of total offense, you'll take those as opposed to what you've had this year. So, yeah, I thought overall it was definitely the offense's best performance and a very well-balanced attack. I just want to talk about that real fast, Derek. 415 total yards for the Colts today. They won the time of possession by over 7 minutes today.
Mm-hmm.
They had 208 passing yards, 207 rushing yards. So that's like the perfect balance offensively for what they want to do. And that's exactly what they've wanted to do since trading for Matt Ryan earlier in the offseason. That was the idea, right? It's just like, if you just had a passing game that could complement your running game, like, you're going to go far, man. So, yeah, phenomenal job by the Colts today. I mean, clearly their best offensive performance in a long, long time. And the crazy thing is, Derek, that they should have had a lot more points in this game too.
Right.
You talk about the
flaws
Chase
that they had.
Field goal. Right. There's just things that they should have done. They should have probably had 30 plus. In this game.
Yeah, 100%. Because, I mean, while we're on the topic of flaws, because there's a lot that you mentioned there, so we're going to have to dissect it a little bit. The flaws that they had. Well, the one is the obvious one. Colts are up 10-0, right? And Kiki QT fumbles the football at the 20-yard line. You give the ball up, and then the Raiders end up getting a touchdown off the turnover, right? Like, that went from a potential touchdown for Indy, which would have put them up 3 scores. Instead, now it was only a 1-score game. So, and probably explains why Kiki QT never touched the field after that, because, like, you can't do that. It's just something you just can't do. And then the next drive, when you get inside the 15-yard line, the 1 sack that Matt Ryan took all game, that's all on Matt Ryan. It was all on Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan had Kylan Granson in the flat and decided not to throw it to him. And then he just decided, I'm going to turn my back and try to roll out. And Max Crosby was like, no, you're not faster than me. So that was all on Matt Ryan for not being smarter in that situation. And then the field goal you end up missing, because instead of it being a 25-yard kick, it's now a 48-yard attempt that you end up forcing your kicker to make, and it makes it a lot harder. So, that sort of situation really pissed me off, Cody, because, like, Matt Ryan, of all people, like, for a guy that is as smart as he is, and for as old as he is, for him to not understand that that's not a thing that you do anymore, I just don't understand that. Like, it seems like that's something he would never do anymore, but he does it still. And I still don't get it. It reminded me of the Broncos game when he was trying to roll out several times and just wouldn't get rid of the football. Like, you got to be smarter as a quarterback that when your route's not there, throw that crap away, man. It just made no sense in that moment. And then, of course, like later on in the game, they punt us inside our own 5, right? And then on 3rd and 10, you say, oh, well, we're not going to pass it. We're just going to go run it. And we get 1 yard. And then Matt Hawk doesn't even get it to the 50. And then the Raiders score a touchdown, right? So and then on top of it, when you're looking at the defense, my biggest concern with the whole defense was that there were multiple times that you had Bobby Okereke covering Devontae Adams in the slot. Like, that makes no sense to me. I don't understand in any form. I like Bobby Okereke, and obviously he's your best pass covering linebacker. But there's no way a linebacker should ever be lined up on Devontae Adams. Never. It should never be allowed to happen. So the fact that it did happen, not once, not twice, not 3 times, but several times, and the fact that they were able to move the ball down the field because of that, it angers me that, there were multiple times where the Colts should have lost this game because they kept shooting themselves in the foot a couple times in this game, Cody.
Mm-hmm. And that, unfortunately, Derek, I don't know if that's going to go away this year because that's kind of the identity of this team. Like, they've done that every single week at this point. They shoot themselves in the foot. They were fortunately able to overcome this because of the brilliance of Jonathan Taylor, obviously Stephon Gilmore, and the game-sealing pass breakup. He's won the Colts now 3 games where he's been the guy that's won them the game essentially. So shout out to Stephon Gilmore there. Man, Julian Blackmon just not looking good, man, at safety right now. I don't know what your feelings are. I know he kind of stumbled on that, but you take a potentially 15 to 20 yard pass and it goes for nearly 50 yards for the touchdown. Like, that kind of crap just can't happen in your secondary.
Yeah, it's just, there were a bunch of things that, like you mentioned, this Colts team, it needs to get better, right? I mean, this is definitely a situation where you take advantage of the things that you had. Obviously, you've had some injuries, you've had some questions, and you made some mistakes that, again, if you just don't kill yourselves by turning the ball over or making stupid bonehead plays, then things would work out in your favor. Now, flaws aside, because we mentioned it, the flaws are still there. We mentioned it. They played a terrible Raiders team that is not well coached, and it's not well taken care of and not well managed. And they still made mistakes that could have cost them the game. But let's now go and dive into it a little bit more. As you mentioned it, Matt Ryan, 21 of 28 today for 222 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, the 1 sack that was his fault. And then, and had the 1 rushing touchdown on top of it. And he decided to go and just have 38 yards rushing as well. Fantastic big run there. He looked like what Sam Ellinger would look like if he was about 10 years older. It looked exactly like the same run that Ellinger had in the preseason against Tampa Bay. I thought that was hilarious looking at that. I'm like, I'm having deja vu right now. But that was funny. Like you said, Jonathan Taylor, his best day of the whole year. 22 carries, 147 yards, 1 touchdown. Reminder, Jonathan Taylor had 160 against the Texans, but he also needed about 10 more rushing attempts to do that. So the fact that he was able to average almost 7 yards a carry, and even before the 66-yard run, he still had 81 rushing yards on 20 carries. So, was still averaging 4 yards a carry throughout the game. So, Jonathan Taylor was getting very consistent carries and was getting consistently 3, 4, 5 yards on first down. And that was the difference to me, Cody, is stepping away from the passing game for a split second. The run game is what got this team going. The fact that on first down, you could run the football and get 4 or 5 yards on every first down and then get another 3 or 4 yards on the next play and have it be 3rd and 3, 3rd and 2. Be in that situation where it's 3rd and short. Instead of it being 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, you're now opening up so many more things for that passing game. So for me, what this offensive line was able to do, allowing Jonathan Taylor to maximize more of his potential in this game. I mean, that was easily the best rushing performance by this team all year, and it was great to see them actually do that this time.
Yeah, I want to shout out every single member of that offensive line today. I want to shout out left tackle Bernard Ryman. We didn't hear his number called at all today. He had a phenomenal game. Not just in the running game, like you mentioned, but also in pass protection.
Yeah.
He looked really good today. Quentin Nelson, was bullying guys out there. We haven't seen that from Quentin Nelson, Derek, since last year.
Yeah.
Like, and Ryan Kelly, we've gone on him this whole year about how he's struggled. I thought he played a good game today.
Yeah.
Will Fry stepping in at right guard. He stepped in last week, had an okay performance, but now 2 straight weeks where you're like, okay, we can live with this guy at right guard.
Yeah.
And I thought he played a really good game today. And then Braden Smith, hopefully he's good. I don't know if he came back into this game, Derek. I know he walked off under his own power. So hopefully that's a good sign. But shout out to him as well. All 5 of these offensive line starters, they looked phenomenal today. This is clearly, like you talk about, the best performance that this unit has had, bar none, this entire year. And so hopefully now they can get their confidence back. And, this offensive line can go on a run here, man, where they can repeat this performance, because they're going to have some really hard defensive lines they're playing against here in the next couple of weeks. And we're going to see what some of these guys are made of. But I think the big thing for me for this offensive line, Derek, is just the confidence that they can do it. They can go back to being dominant, That's the biggest thing. It's like the mental game. Jeff Saturday even said it, man. He said that's the biggest part, is like the mental game about it. And I think the offensive line was just in a bad mental space. Yes. Honestly, that's where I think we never questioned the ability, maybe with Matt Pryor, but with a lot of the other guys, we never questioned the ability of this offensive line. It was just like, they just are missing assignments, and Saturday, not even a week in, is able to correct that. And I think the big thing, Derek, Jeff Saturday's now starting to establish a culture. I know it's still early and there's still crap that happens like we saw today. It still leaks out from the last coach. But it's a culture of accountability, right? Jeff Saturday's not afraid of getting these guys' face. And that's something they haven't had, honestly, in 4 years, Derek. So maybe Dave DeGuglielmo is the last guy that did that back in 2018. Honestly, that's the last time this offensive line has been seriously challenged the way they are now. So Jeff Saturday did a great job with these guys on a short week, with a crazy week. Offensive line performed great. I'm hoping they can build off this performance, because if they can, I still think this Colts offense, like we saw today, they can actually do some damage. They can be efficient if their offensive line will help them. If Matt Ryan can stay relatively upright, I still think this Colts offense has an opportunity. We called it the worst offense in football, and really in large part due to the fact that the offensive line couldn't protect anybody, and it impacted every single part of that offense, and the fumbles and the turnovers, right? The Colts only had that 1 turnover today. Like, that's huge for them. Matt Ryan, no turnovers, no interceptions, no fumbles, like that kind of stuff. It all starts with getting the offensive line playing to where they need to play. Yeah. And so I'm very encouraged by that. Obviously, there's going to be some harder tests coming up, like I mentioned. So we'll see, man. How do they respond this next week against Philadelphia? You're the best team in the NFC right now. Like, this is going to be a big test for them, because they definitely have some boys on that defensive line.
100%, man. Very 100%. It's going to be a lot more difficult as time goes along. But I totally agree with you in the sense that, yeah, it just felt like there was no confidence. And what better way than to bring in the greatest offensive lineman that the Indianapolis Colts has ever had in its franchise to come in and bestow some confidence and some knowledge on you, right? Like, how great of a situation that would be. And we know that this team, if their offensive line is actually doing their part, this team can compete with anyone. They may not win all their games because they are lacking in the fact that they beat themselves a lot of times, but this team can compete with anyone as long as that offensive line actually is able to just maintain their blocks. So it was great to see that. And then on the receiving aspect of things, I mean, I don't know about you, Cody, and I bring it up every week now, it seems like, over the last 4 weeks, but I think it's safe to say the Paris Campbell thing is working. Paris Campbell has been healthy all year, has caught 32 passes for 300 yards, has 2 touchdowns, and really he was he was inactive for like the first 5 weeks of the season. The majority of that is coming over the last 4 weeks of the season. At least 24 of his 32 receptions have all come in the last 4 weeks, and all of those touchdowns coming in the last 3. So really, I mean, Paris Campbell has been a stud. Michael Pittman has definitely been doing some decent things. Michael Pittman, please stop fumbling the football, bro. That scared the crap out of me when that happened. Did you see that play?
I heard you talking about it. I was still driving. So
he catches it. Matt Ryan throws it behind him, but he catches it. He brings it in, brings it up here, and then the guy just slaps his hand and knocks the ball right out, and then tackles Pittman. So the ball's on the ground. It's free. The linebacker for the Raiders picks it up but drops it, and then Pittman comes in and gets it somehow, some way. And then it was a 1-yard gain. I'm like, Pittman, bro, for the love of God, stop losing the football. And then the next play, Paris Campbell has that 30-yard reception for a touchdown. So, it was a wild 3 plays because that was the play after the Matt Ryan 40-yard run. So a wild chain of events that was. But Granson had a fantastic day today. 4 catches for 60 yards. He did a fantastic job. His first catch was for 30 yards. They tried to get Alec Pierce involved, but, Alec Pierce had a couple of drops in this game. He just did not look like himself. Hopefully the Colts can find a way to kind of get him involved a little bit more as time goes along. But, on that first drive, he had that drop. He's got to hold on to that. I still think he's struggling a little bit with his confidence at times. I think he's just losing focus every once in a while. But, I mean, it is nice to see, guys like Paris Campbell and Michael Pittman and Kylan Granson stepping up week in and week out right now, Cody.
Yeah, and Paris, I just want to say Paris did have that huge drop. He had to catch that.
That is true. Yeah, I forgot to mention that. Yeah, Paris,
so
bro, you got hold on to
drops today. Yeah, the receivers had some drops today.
Yeah.
They need to work on that. Didn't help out their offense at times, didn't help out Matt Ryan at times. But, Paris more than made up for it with essentially the game-winning touchdown then. But, yeah, I mean, these guys, I don't know what the deal is with, the drops right now, but they got to figure those things out because you're going to be playing a lot better secondaries in the coming weeks as well. So, you just got to hold on to those key passes there, that really dictate and change the game. So, yeah, I mean, overall, it was an okay day for the receivers. I thought, they made up for it, obviously, at the end of the game. With Paris Campbell, Kylan Granson, obviously, as well. Interesting enough, even with Jelani Woods out of this game, Mo Alley-Cox still really not involved at all in the game plan. So I'm just kind of wondering what the point was to bring him back at this point, because it's even showing like Jelani's not even playing, and they're still not throwing the ball to Mo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're still not throwing it to him. I don't get it. I don't know. Like, obviously, he's out there for the fact that he blocks, but like, if you're not like throwing the football at all, then why the hell is he out there? Like, if you're throwing the football, why is he out there? He never gets targeted. Like, I don't understand that for the life of me, but very interesting. But let's go to the defense real quick. We talked about the offense, talked about its flaws, but its good things that it did. The defense definitely had itself a pretty decent day as well. Looking at it from this perspective, Carr, 24 of 38, 248 yards. He had 2 touchdowns, was sacked twice today. And then when you look at the rest of it, I don't know about you, Cody. I mean, did you think the pass rush was decent today? I thought people were overreacting to it a little bit. I thought there was a little bit more pressure than what some people would have realized. But I think that, Carr was able to get a few things out there. But overall, I thought that the Colts did a relatively decent job of not allowing Derek Carr to make those plays down the field. I mean, because you look at it, Matt Ryan averaged 8 yards a throw in this game, which is not that crazy. It's not. That's actually pretty low. But Carr only averaged 6.5. Like, I mean, there was nothing deep that Derek Carr was getting. Nothing. I mean, besides the one big play that Devontae Adams had, really there wasn't any deep throws that, they made. They kept everything in front of them.
Yeah, I thought the pass rush was okay today. Definitely needs to step up though in that fourth quarter. When like Derek Carr had all time to throw. When it came to the one pass to Devontae Adams, and Robert Mathis even tweeted it out. Man, if you can't get to the QB, bad things are going to happen. So yeah, this pass rush, while it did have its moments, it needs to be more consistent. For all four quarters. I just need to see more. DeForest Buckner, I will give a shout out to. He's a monster.
Yes,
he's
he
a beast. He needs to just. You need to keep him around at all costs, man, because he is absolutely phenomenal. Yeah, I thought he looked really good today. Obviously, Kwity Paye was dealing with that injury, so didn't really see him. He was very quiet today as well. I do wonder if that ankle was bothering him and kind of hindering him. I thought Dio Odangbo had a couple nice snaps there as well. I thought he looked pretty good. So, yeah, you just need to see more from your defensive line and more from your pass rush. 2 sacks. I thought they started off really good, and then they kind of tapered off maybe near that, second half of the game. So, yeah, just got to see a consistent 4 quarters from your pass rush.
Yeah, definitely thought, overall, I don't think there was anything that the Colts did phenomenally well. But overall, I don't think there was anything that they did that was atrocious enough to lose them this game. I mean, I'll give them the credit of the fact that, on one of those drives where they allowed a touchdown, right, they started it on their side of the field, right? So, the Colts offense went 3 and out, put them on the 48 of their side. That's a really difficult thing to deal with, even though if Blackman doesn't trip and fall when going up against Adams, then, that touchdown probably doesn't happen. But overall, you held Josh Jacobs 21 carries for only 78 yards. He only averaged 3.5 yards a carry. And then, Josh Jacobs had a couple catches for there. But overall, I mean, I knew Devontae Adams was going to get his, right? 9 catches, 126 yards, 1 touchdown. He was the only one that was getting any kind of movement for the Las Vegas Raiders in this game. I felt like that was great, Cody, that they kind of just took everyone else away. Devontae's going to get his. You limited the impact somewhat that he made, but everyone else really had to fight to make this offense move.
Yeah, there was really nobody else. Like, you look at the number 2 receiver, wide receiver, that was Mac Hollins. He was the number 2 receiver for the Raiders. He only had 2 catches on 6 targets for 18 yards. And then the second leading receiver was Foster Moreau, the backup tight end, who had 3 catches for 43 yards. So, yeah, I thought you did a pretty good job of limiting everybody outside of Devontae Adams, and just basically made the Raiders offense kind of one-dimensional in a way, where Devontae Adams is just that good. Sometimes it's just like you can do all you can to try to contain him, but he's one of those guys, just like Jonathan Taylor, that is just, it's almost impossible to contain them when they get hot, So, yeah, that connection is definitely deadly. But I thought, besides that kind of busted play there where Blackman tripped and fell, I thought they did a pretty decent job of keeping him in check, all things considered. I mean, 9 catches, 126 yards. That's big. I mean, you take away that 48-yarder. I mean, I thought they did a pretty relatively good job on him all day. So, but, considering the kind of player he is and the connection that him and Carr have, I guess I'm not shocked he got 14 targets. He had 9 catches of those 14. So, yeah, I mean, if he's the guy that's doing all the damage, I think you're doing something right defensively to limit everybody else. So, yeah, Devontae Adams, great game against the Colts. He has a great game against just about everybody else. So it's not really like, oh my gosh, why'd we let him do this? It's like, well,
you kind of had to expect it.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Hey, Gilly Lock, one more time, dude. Gilly Lock, one more time. Just prove to everyone I'm him.
He's won them 3 out of 4 games.
Me one more time. I'm him.
Yeah. 3 out of 4 games. It's been gone down to Stephon Gilmore making a play.
Yep. It's awesome, man. Fantastic. Love. I mean, honestly, Cody, is that the best signing that the Colts had all offseason?
Oh, yeah, by far.
It has to be. I mean, Gilly has clutched 2 or 3 games this year for the Indianapolis Colts defense, and
Kansas City, Denver, and now this game.
Yep. So yeah, it's awesome, man. Love to see it, guys. I mean, again, it's against the Raiders. Say whatever you want about it, But at the end of the day, a win's a win in this league. Anyone can beat anyone at any time. There's been times when the Texans beat the Kansas City Chiefs or, the Buffalo Bills, right? Like what does everybody say when that happens, right? Oh, well, it's the NFL. Anyone can beat anyone. Both of these teams have bad circumstances where they were coming from into this week. But at the end of the day, Colts can actually feel some kind of sense of relief right now, Cody. I know a lot of people will say and sit here, Cody, and we'll probably talk about this throughout the week, but we can talk about it real quick to cap this off. I mean, a lot of people were ready to throw in the towel on this team, right? And to a certain degree, I felt like you and I were too. And I felt like just a lot of people, and I know this for myself. I don't know about you, but it felt it for myself. I just wanted to have a sense of confidence. I wanted a sense of having a feeling of direction with this team. And it was great to see somebody give that sense of purpose to what was all this is about, right? And we're going to talk about it for a long, long time right now with the fact that, the Colts, they hired a guy that was widely criticized as being brought in here, saying it was a disgrace to the league to bring him in here. And he beat a guy who has almost as much coaching experience as anyone else in this league ever has. And yet they went in there into their building and beat them. So it just proves yet again, Jeff Saturday's qualifications from what he had before did actually matter. And it was all about unifying this team. Didn't seem to me, Cody, because I heard rumors of people saying that, there were guys in the building that did not like Jeff Saturday being brought in. From the look of that sideline, it didn't look like anyone was upset about what Saturday and this team was doing that day.
No, there was a sense of life. There's a sense of confidence in something, to believe in something. Because this team, this whole year, it's just felt rudderless. It's felt like we don't know what direction this team is going to, right? Because we were talked all the time about how this team's going to go to the playoffs, how it's going to, make an impact, going to go to the Super Bowl, things like that. And we even bought into that hype somewhat, and then to just see the product that they put on the field, which was like the complete opposite. This team before this game, you're just like, this team might get the number 1 overall pick. That's how bad they're playing right now. But I think this, honestly, Derek, it further cements the fact that Chris Ballard, I think, is going to be around for another year, just because it proves like there's still talent on this team. Like there's still guys, there's still Taylors, there's still, Paris Campbells, guys like that. I get it. Raiders aren't a good football team. And I've said that a lot. I know.
Yeah, we keep saying it.
because I know there's going to be somebody that's trying to discredit what they did, And I understand why to a degree, but also like a win is a win. So that's how I look at it. That's my perspective on it. But yeah, at least it seems like the guys are motivated and ready to play, right? I tweeted it out and said, I don't know how this Jeff Saturday experience is going to go, right? I don't know how many games this team could win. Like this could be their only win in Jeff Saturday's tenure as a coach, but at least this team will be more fun to watch than what they were.
Yeah,
at
100%.
least they'll be trying. At least it'll look like they're trying. It didn't look like they cared before.
Yep.
So, confidence can go a long way, for a team, for a football team. And so, I guess we'll see. I mean, there still is a lot of football to be played, Derek. There really is. And the Colts aren't that far out of the playoff picture. I don't want to get people's hopes up necessarily, because you look at the schedule, it's brutal.
Yeah, it's brutal coming up. We got to face two of the two best teams in the NFL right now in Minnesota and the Eagles coming up in a few weeks.
It's going to be tough. But you know what? Like, if this team can just build off of this, I mean, like you said, anything can happen. I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying it's not. But yeah, it could.
Doesn't matter.
And
doesn't matter at the end of the day to me, as long as we start showing some fight. Right? Like under the previous regime, I don't know if this team's putting up any points. Now I feel like there's at least a sense of fight and hope for this team. And I'm just going to end it with this, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know your thoughts on this. And just a quick reminder, Jeff Saturday has as many wins as a coach as Joe Thomas had in his final 2 years as a player. Good night, everybody, and go Colts. What's going on, everybody? Today I want to talk to you about our sponsor, BetStamp. Now, I know what you're thinking. Derek, another betting app? What is so different about this one now? Well, I got to tell you guys, I'm not into online gambling a whole lot. and bets online and everything. But I got to tell you, BetStamp is one of the coolest things I have ever seen in regards to betting online. The great thing about BetStamp is it allows you to see all the different odds from all different sports books and see which one provides you the best odds possible for any game or scenario you want to bet on for your pick versus some of the worst. BetStamp allows you to also buy and sell picks that you have without worrying about losing your money or having any issues with it. Believe me, it's all free. I mean, look at this, guys. You have an option for every game across all different kinds of leagues in a ton of different ways. You have baseball, you have college football, UFC, NBA, and NFL. Great for the NFL season now being here. And if I wanted to bet on this Tennessee Titans versus Buffalo Bills game, it shows me in real time what are the best odds, which sports book I'm going to get the best offer from versus some of the worst ones. Because why would you want to earn less money from PointsBet when you could be winning more from ProLine Plus? Again, a great thing that BetStamp offers you, allowing you to make more money for the same pick just with a different sports book. How easy is that? And the great thing is there's not just games. There's player props. There's game props. There's lines. There's live tracking. There's a ton of great ways to make bets and picks on BetStamp, guys. Totally a cool thing to use. I highly encourage you check it out if you're into any kind of online betting. Even if you're not, give it a check. See what you like about it, because I think I actually enjoy using it. But the best way to get an edge on online sports betting is having multiple accounts at different sports books. Be sure to hit the BetLink page, betstamp.app/onboarding. Be sure to check out the BetStamp app or online, and be sure to use the referral code JUICE, plug in your state, and you'll get access to all their affiliates and their prices once you open it up, seeing all states' lines. Be sure to check this out, guys. You won't want to miss it for the best odds on your next sports bet.